The trauma of your country, Nigeria. Like all of us that live in Nigeria probably have some kind of trauma about Nigeria. So it ranges on various forms. Welcome to the episode, guys. This is Menisms. You can see from the clip that you've watched, today's topic is very interesting and it's about trauma.
All kinds of trauma.
All kinds, because we don't want it to just see like that kind of trauma.
Yeah, so
trauma comes from many facets. But before we go on to the episode, first off, thank you guys for tuning in again. We appreciate you. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure that you listen to the audio podcast. And also, make sure that you follow our social media handles on TikTok, on Twitter, on Instagram.
Yeah.
How you feeling, Maji?
Always remember to comment and like. Share our stuff. Let people know that you fuck with the podcast. Oh yeah, you like this podcast. Let it be other people's favorite podcast as well.
Exactly.
Right?
So like we said, today's topic is about trauma. Trauma comes in many forms. Trauma sometimes doesn't always have to be negative. The way we make it seem like trauma has to be the most craziest thing that happened to you. There are little things that happen that create trauma. So that's what we're focusing on, and trauma starts from a young age upward. Trauma is just basically from your experiences. When you've had a negative experience that leaves a lasting impression on you for life. Yeah. So it's like, little things as a kid. When you're growing up, you learn there's some things you'll do and you don't do. Why? Because you've seen the repercussions of those actions. Whether you fell or you're supposed to touch you touch something you're not supposed to touch, you get burnt. Because of that, you have trauma now for stuff like that. Or you did something that your parents, they'll react in a certain way. That trauma is left with you. Or the trauma of your country, Nigeria. Like, all of us that live in Nigeria probably have some kind of trauma about Nigeria. So it ranges on various forms. But I'll say let's start with, what would you say is your earliest form of trauma? What was it?
Okay, so I think before we even go there, so people get it clear. Not just that we're talking about trauma. We're talking about trauma and how a lot of our day-to-day livelihood is built from that, right? So I'll start off with answering your question so we make it clear, because a lot of people's decisions, some of them don't know that's based off of some traumatic experience that they said, I'm never going to experience that again, and so this is how I'm going to live my life.
Not everybody.
No, I'm saying everyone has something that they've experienced that ends up being that defining factor for how they decide to live life, right? It's not going to be the same way you experience something that I would experience it and, have my take on.
Process things.
Yeah, but there's always one thing in your life that is built off of maybe some traumatic experience, and that's how you decide to live life, right? So, what is my earliest traumatic experience? So, this is going to be very funny. But when I was much younger, this is primary school, primary 1, 2. So we lived very close to where my primary school was, right? So now you know how protective Nigerian parents are. Now, naturally, if I live close, let's say my school is 15 to 20 blocks away, I should be able to walk to school, right? But of course, the whole being safe, and I'm too young, because then I was 5. Being safe, and I was too young to have to walk on my own and whatnot. So my mother would never let me. So there was this one day that no one had come to get me from school yet. So all of my other friends had gone, and it was just me. And I'm like, you know what? I know my way back home, so I'm just gonna walk, right? Now, as I was walking, I can't even remember what happened. So again, I was young, I was 5. So obviously I was small as well. Then I got to this point where I had to cross a gutter. And I kid you not, as I tried to cross it, I literally misstepped. Because I was small, I miscalculated where my leg could reach. I fell body deep into the gutter. Of course, bruises, all of that stuff. I had to go to a nearby. So I was close to the house, but I was still 10 blocks away. So I had to go to a neighbor's house to get washed up, cleaned up, and all that stuff. It goes without saying that my mom dealt with me because she had already warned me never to, right? But to this day, I've suppressed it now because how can I say I can't cross gutter, right? But But I kid you not, every single time I'm trying to cross over a gutter, it literally flashes in my head. All I'm thinking is, I can slip and fall. So I always, when I'm trying to, I have to like actually talk myself into, come on, stop this. You're not 5 anymore, you know. But that's something that, so if I have the option of not crossing the gutter, I go round, right? I tried for it to not be noticeable because I don't want to have to always explain to people that, oh, it's a traumatic experience that's making me do this. But if I don't have to, I don't cross the gutter. So, and sometimes when I'm crossing, if there's like there's only one little thing that I would try my best not to cross, or I have to man it up. So it's one thing. I think that's my earliest.
I realized that when you saying that story, I realized a lot of my trauma is more emotional trauma than physical experiences. Because the reason I say that is because all the experiences I've been through, even bad or good, I've always just been that stubborn kid that even if something bad happens, we go run am again. Like, so it's like you have the trauma of what happens. Like, there's a lot of times, like, I grew up, like, when I was, new episode, audience, again, I'm going to use the reference of where I was from. I had to do this for the next 2 episodes. But, you know, growing up in America, like, my own trauma was, like, you get in trouble for little things. Like, I remember there's one thing we did. To be fair, this is one thing. I had trauma of just, like, getting in trouble with my mom that I think subconsciously I had even as an adult. That is just like, I don't want the woman's wahala. Because as an adult, it's not beating again, of course, that it's more of just that yelling and all. But you still think of, I remember back then, because I used to just get in trouble anyhow. Like, I remember there's one thing we did, right? So in my neighborhood, we lived in a cul-de-sac. So all the neighborhood kids would come to my cul-de-sac and we'll play sports there, play basketball. So I was cool with everybody in my neighborhood. So usually when my momsy goes to work for the day, because my momsy used to be a nurse and all that. So once momsy goes, night shift, house is free. Yeah. There's one day she said she has to do a day shift. I invited all the guys in the neighborhood over. Said we're having a WWE match in my house. That was the time WWE was really peaking. Yeah. Had it in my garage because all the old couches, we moved to the garage, man. We had like a fatal 4-way Hell in a Cell match with 6 guys, like 8 guys in total now came. We destroyed the whole garage. And mind you, it's not my stepdad's house at the time too. So we destroyed his couches, destroyed his cooler, destroyed other property in there. And I will still never forget that day I woke up. Like, my mom just woke me up with, like, one hot slap. Just, you know, you're just sleeping like this, you just, get up. The fuck? And you're so confused.
At the same time, as much as you're confused, you're also, you know, seeing why.
No, you don't see why, because you just woke up. That's what I'm saying. Like, pound, like what? So you haven't processed yet. So it's when you're walking to that living room that you start to remember, what did I do in the last 20?
Then it starts to.
So as soon as I walked in, that's why I said trauma-wise, the experiences are fine. It was just the fear of what happened. Like, I walked into the living room, and it was like a movie. My mom is just sitting down on one side of the couch, laying down. My stepdad is on the other side, and my stepdad was one big guy, he's like 6'4". So I'm just looking at both of them. So I was like, what happened in the garage? And the fear, the shake that I had. That trauma, that's what I say, it's just that kind of fear that I had. Long story short, that woman, when she dealt with me, my stepdad is the one that had to come and be, oh yeah, Funke is okay. Funke, leave him, and all that. But I'll say mine's more, that's what I said, it's funny, like mine's more emotional. It's so sad to say because it's like, you don't realize it till you're an adult.
Yeah, you really don't.
That's about, you go through so much, because like, again, it's your experiences, your environment. Like I said, like me, the way I grew up, to me at the time was normal. You get what I'm saying? It's not like anything over crazy happened bad, but it's like, it was just normal life to me. But then it's like when you change your environment, when you leave, because like I said, once I left, I started living in different countries and all that. You start realizing stuff like, yo, what the hell? Like, I was living through this, or these things were happening, and it's like, how did I process this thing or act like everything was okay for so long? Yeah. And then it's not till you meet other people, experience other cultures, that you start to realize, like, you know,
you have a problem.
Exactly. That he has a problem because
normal for everybody
what's normal in one society is not normal to another society. That's why, like, one of my lecturers, she told me this thing during like my undergrad. I'll never forget her. She was like, "What is really defined as normal? Like, what is the definition of normal?"
You're the one who defines the normal, yeah. And see, so the thing is, I feel like a lot of Nigerians don't even know they've been traumatized by.
Oh, they're horrible. Like, bro, everybody here is traumatized.
So you know the typical way to raise a child in Nigeria comes with a lot of discipline. In fact, raising a child without discipline is not raising a child, according to the typical Nigerian way of raising a child, right? Now, I can say firsthand that there's so many things that I didn't even realize were as a result of the trauma from the fear of being disciplined by not doing something right, that I just ended up not having my own way of doing them. I'll give one example. There's something I didn't know I was doing until several people would point it out. Like if I go to someone's house, right, and I'm meant to sit on the couch. I mean, obviously you get to the house and they say, oh yeah, sit down. I kid you, this is me. I sit at the edge. And I just, no matter, this is by default, even till now, I sit at the, people would have to warn me, don't spoil my chair, please. And then I'm like, oh, sorry, bad habits. It took me a while to now be like, because one day I had to sit down and be like, thinking about it now, why do I sit at the edge? So when I was much younger, my mom would want me not to just be, what do you mean? This is not your house. How can you just sit down? Now, because I'm a firstborn, right? Apart from just listening to what she says, there's a part of me that also does not want to embarrass the family. You know, so I had to come up with my own way to address her concerns, which is every time I go, I must look like I'm not trying to be too comfortable. In that this is not my father's house, right? Now, over time, I didn't even know when it took effect. And till now, and this is me 30 years later, till now, I get to someone's house or even okay, let's even say I go visit someone in their hotel room. And I'm sitting on the bed, I sit at the edge, the very edge. Someone had to complain and be like, why are you always doing this?
You just reminded me of a traumatic.
You know, so, and after a while, I just started thinking to myself that this is a trauma response. Like, this is me just being afraid. And it also branches into me not liking confrontations. I absolutely cannot stand confrontation.
Before you say that, because that's another part of trauma that we'll get to that's more emotional.
Yes,
but with those experience, I just want to say a story real quick, how like responses. So for me, I hate guns. Okay. As much as I grew up in America and all that, I absolutely hate guns. Okay. Here's why. Because of Nigeria. When I was 5, I came to live with my grandma for a year from America. And in that year, the amount of armed robbers I saw on Adeni Jones and the amount of gunshots, and it's not even like our neighborhood was bad. We lived in a very nice neighborhood. In fact, at one point, if you stay my uncle in GRA, that year in Nigeria, the amount of gunshots, like I remember there's one experience where in my grandma's house on Adeni Jones, the man that stayed across the caucus was a military man. There's one day the armed robbers just came in the middle of the dark. You just heard pop, 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 pop. And my grandma's house is the first house on the street across from his house. Yeah. So you hear everything. You can even see it from the window from our grandpa's room. I remember vividly. So you're just hearing pop, 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 screaming and all that. So I remember my grandma would now come. Everybody turn off the lights, da, 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 da. That's one case. Few months later, they came again. This time I was inside the house. So how I got inside to today, and imagine my mom's in America not knowing this is happening and all that. So it's like after she's finding out, but the caucus house we used to go all the time because they had a granddaughter that was my age. So I used to go chill there. Yeah. So one day I'm chilling there with my auntie. We're in the house when the armed robbers come. You just say, Papa. My auntie now has to hide in the corner in Mr. Coker's room, and I'm now in the corner with her, and she's praying and all that until eventually police chased them out. So it was like even just from hearing guns and all that now, by the time I went back to America, that's why I said it's normal that I sort of now adapted being back in America now that, okay, you hear guns are normal, but I'm already still shaking from the sound and all. Then obviously by the time you get older, you hear like, okay, this person got shot and all that, like on the news and all that. And even firsthand, I had some classmates that actually got shot that it's like, wait, huh? Like the older you get now, it's becoming a reality of what you see and all that. So even up to now that like you're old enough to own guns, all that, I hate it. Because like I said, I'll still hear that loud bang, you know, in terms of like, Let
me tell you one very weird experience that I didn't actually think would leave so much trauma, but it has, and I don't think it's something I can actually ever get over. So I'm not a fan of pets. Now, not a fan of pets, not because I don't like, I grew up with dogs. Like, we're in a household where there was almost no point where there weren't at least 5 to 7 dogs, right? So I grew up with dogs. Like, if I go to someone's house now, I'm not afraid that I will play with their dog. But that I own a pet by myself, I don't think it will ever happen.
Wow.
I'm not afraid of cats either. I'm a pet person when it's someone else's pet.
I was about to say, you just said you're a pet person.
No, let me. So, I used to think, and the thing about traumatic experiences is if you actually don't sit down to trace back where this could have happened.
Yes.
All you just think is, it's just how I am. It's really not how you are. There's a train of actions that would have, birthed that whole characteristic. And so when I started thinking to myself, wait, that's true. It doesn't make sense that I don't like pets when clearly I grew up with pets, right? And then it now dawned on me. So when I was in high school, as soon as I resumed high school, so I was in a day school from my JS1 to my SS1.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this still comes back to the whole, how you raise the whole Nigerian parents raising technique, right? So my father believed that, I'm in a day school. I should always be doing chores before I leave for school in the morning every day. So I kid you not, from JS1 to I think JS3, every single day. So the school bus will come pick me up, but every single day I wake up at 5 o'clock. Every single day. I wake up at 5. Then we had about 3 dogs. I wake up at 5. My job every morning is I have to clear all the dog poop and make sure I clean the dog's cage.
Yeah.
Make sure I clear. So if they gave them food from the night before. So basically take care of your dogs, right? That kind of thing, right? So he turned it to, they're your dogs, you should take care of them. Now I didn't ask for these dogs, right? There was no part of my childhood that said, "Oh, daddy, please, I want to." No, I was born and there was dog. Right, so, but it's like, okay, you know what, they're your pets, no one's going to take care of them for you.
What you mean, though.
Now, so I would wake up every morning. You don't get it. I see dogs, I can smell Izal.
No.
I can smell Dettol. I can. So when I think about owning a pet, that's the first thing that comes to my mind. You mean I'm going to be the one to be packing all this? I'm going to be reliving what I think I had left behind.
But if you take that away, man, pets are worth it, man.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I know, but I cannot outlive that experience, right? Because the minute I'm thinking that pet is within my personal space, then everything starts coming back.
Let me actually.
And it was such a traumatic, because I hated that period. There were times when I would hope that maybe I wake up late and I don't. And he would tell me that, okay, well, you've woken up late, you're going to come back and meet that day, And it now turned to times when I forget to do it, nobody else does it, and so it's just there in the compound. It can't just be there in the compound. I have to pack all the dog poop, everything.
Let me ask you
so
a
now I
question,
can't have pets.
Let me ask you a question now. So with relating to trauma now, because we've talked about obviously some foundational stuff, but we're in Nigeria, where we live, and a lot of us are Nigerians, and we don't talk about how a lot of Nigerians, we were saying it earlier, we all have trauma and all. It's weird because I've observed this trauma in terms of I've sort of got my trauma late.
Okay.
So the trauma that a lot of people in Nigeria have, let's say growing up, I'm experiencing it late.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Do you get what I mean? Because you'll be able to.
Because you needed the context.
Because some people now, you are born in Nigeria, you already have got. You don't see from 0 to 17. So I came at 17, and this trauma actually stay with me till now. Because like you say, even something like light now, for example, when I travel now sometimes and I'm abroad, I'm literally even the way you lights. Don't want me to even if the lights you even switch off or something, I'm already and I'm like, wait, you used to live here. Why are you so trauma? Then even secondary school now, which is the one place I feel creates the most trauma for most people in Nigeria, because those 2 years I was just in secondary school, SS2, SS3. The amount of trauma that thing has put in my life, even now, while I'm always I'm very chilled and laid back, but sometimes I can be very defensive. Why secondary school? The way they used to flog people, me, I'm ready for smoke now at any point. In terms of, I made a vow my graduation day. I'll never forget that day. The day I walked across, I said, if another man should ever try and flog me or beat him, I am beating him on the spot right there. Because you couldn't do anything back then. So it's you just chop. So my own is this, is with Nigeria creating all this trauma, right? How does one find a solution to it in terms of if it's part of our foundational upbringing that's literally we can't even control? How do we solve it?
So I have given that some thought, and I think the only possible way is a lot of self-learning. So a lot of you've seen the things that should not have been done that have obviously affected you negatively. Now, in fact, this is interesting because a lot of Nigerians don't even know that how they choose to raise their children is a traumatic experience.
Oh, they don't want to have that conversation.
Because I have a lot of guys,
they don't want to have that conversation.
That feel oh yes, I must still spank my child. It's trauma you're going through, because the truth is you've not sat down to think if that was necessary. Yep. You've not sat down to think if it was positive. People say, my parents beat me, but here I am. Oh, well and good. Yeah.
But you still got trauma, trust me. Like.
Exactly. Right. And the thing is, why I said it requires a lot of self-learning is that you have to actually sit down to look at the events that happened in your life growing up before you then impact what you should be doing moving forward to a newborn, right? Now, a lot of Nigerians, and I'm happy about that, are now steering away from the whole physical discipline. You know,
they don't flog as much in schools anymore, to be fair.
I like that they are moving, further away from that. And it shows that people have understood they need to unlearn some things, right? Because the whole idea behind learning things is to know the things to unlearn.
Yeah.
So if I learn that, look, beating a child literally does nothing but show them new ways to not get beaten, right? Then I unlearn the idea behind beating someone as correction, right? I look for new ways to correct. Is it that you have to sit down and speak with the person? This is why I keep saying that for me personally, I'd have a very close relationship with my kids, particularly because I had best of both worlds in that, I could go to my dad with certain things. I couldn't go to my mom with certain things. My mom would do certain things to correct me. My dad may not. He would just look at them. So I had best of both worlds, basically, right? So I could pick the things to not like. I could pick the things to like. But at the same time, I had to also, let myself understand which of them was more traumatic and which one was actually something I should take.
And they don't realize something with correction, that correction really is finding solutions.
Yes.
Because, like you said, our Nigerian way of correction is fair.
Yeah.
But fair is not finding the solution to the problem.
Nah.
All the stubborn kids you are saying are doing this or you are doing this. Have you ever sat down to ask them what is going on?
Yeah.
Or the thing that you tell the child not to do, have you explained why you shouldn't do it? You simply say don't do it based off your, like you said it spot on, the fear of you. Like, I know that's one reason why I used to get in trouble a lot, because even me, like now as an adult, I've been able to have those conversations with my mom now, but it's like, you put a lot of your fears or insecurities in me.
Thank you very much.
Because my life is not your life. Like, even if I'm doing something that you think is not going to work or you don't like, can you ask me at least, like, why are you doing it?
Exactly.
And
and even the thing is, like you just said, because you mentioned a strong point. See this thing of, there's a general thing where Nigerians care what the other person thinks.
And it kills us. That's the worst thing.
This thing was literally birthed from our parents imposing this on us. Oh, mama, this thing say. Oh, baba, this thing say. So now, unconsciously, you're living your life for the other person's approval.
I've just had to start learning unlearning that. I have to just start unlearning that. I'm like, why?
And you see, unlearning it to them comes off as being nonchalant, whereas it's literally a thing of, it's my life to live. I'm not being rude to the next person. I'm not, what I'm doing is not detrimental to the next person other than what they believe are moral standards. Right.
And you just said that now. That just added on. That's what I said. That's part of the trauma. I've been trying to, like, the whole judgmental, the whole judging thing. Like, when I was in America, I never worried about being judged. Exactly. Apart from being black.
Yeah.
And even then, that's it. It sounds weird to say. It's like subconsciously living there, growing up there, So it's not like you are really worried. It's like, if it happens, I'm going to insult you too, like, boom.
Yeah.
But then it's like coming to Nigeria, like I said, going through these things late. Like, bro, I'm going from 0 to 17, learning that I should be free with my life. I should be an individual. I come to Nigeria that if I'm an individual, because now if you're an individual, it's cool and popular. But all these years, especially in our millennial Gen Z generation, anybody that was unique, different, almost judge. And I'm looking at everybody now like, you all judge for somebody being themselves, right? Then you'll be the same ones to complain about, oh, we're not finding ourselves, we're not individuals, and all. When somebody's trying to do that and branch out, but because of the judgmental society and all, why won't they play? You know how much trauma people have now that they're not themselves even up to now, because they're still worried about what the other man will say and all that. Like, we care about the most privileged things. Like, look at little things like, oh, our parents, if you have hair, if you have a beard, if you have earrings, what the fuck does that matter for? It's literally, it means nothing. It means that it's my own individual self. It's like, okay, that same person you're insulting, they no go school.
And the funny thing is that now, thankfully, we're in, a place in life now where you can actually sit your parents down to tell them the things they're doing wrong.
No, not everybody.
Oh no, so I mean,
everybody. Like as much as social media is saying that a lot of people are still trapped in bondage.
I'm not saying there aren't people. I'm saying right now the atmosphere has opened a floor for it. When I was younger,
okay, I get what you mean. So
when I was young, you couldn't even. It wasn't even something you would think about. Right now, you can actually tell your parents, "Oh, Mom, I don't think."
For the people out there, I like to defend people saying. Some people say, "Oh, I was able to talk to my parents earlier." No, because even as much as I got in trouble, I could talk early, and there are people like that.
It's not even early. I definitely couldn't talk early. I only really started being able to tell them what is right and wrong maybe when I was 28, 27, which is really late, right?
It's late.
Yeah, but again, thankfully, it's opened a floor for that, right? Now. You were talking about how to, break off from this chain where, the Nigerian way of raising children kind of puts a lot of trauma in them. I think the best way for us to come out of it is to, the newer generation of parents to just really understand that, look, again, I know a handful of them will still just be replaying their trauma into their children. I know that, right? But the ones who are willing to actually break off that chain need to understand that in the end, it's the child's life. You're just there to be a guide. You're just there to be a mentor. You're just there to be I've done this before, but maybe the way I did it was even wrong. But let me tell you how I did it. So that if you take my lessons and you want to do it the exact same way, that's on you. If you take my lessons and you want to do it entirely differently because you thought my way was wrong, also on you. Not that I'm telling you the way I did it was the only way to do it. And that's where we have the problem.
If I lived my life the way my mom wanted at the time, apparently, I'll be depressed and may not be here. And that's a lot of people right now in this situation because especially when you come to Nigeria, oh, bro, I had to get a job in bank because my dad, my mom, or I had to get this because my mom's company. And there's nothing wrong in saying that, by the way, because I don't judge nobody because everybody's situation is different and get your money how you need to get it. But for everybody, your emotional capacity of what you can handle. Me personally, I couldn't handle that shit. Like, I was doing there's a point I was working in FIRS and I'm like, this is the most depressing thing. But I know judge-wise, everybody's saying, you're working at FIRS and all that. Inside, I'm not happy. Let me go and do what I want to do.
Let's even talk about the best way Nigerians know how to share trauma is through comedy.
Oh, yeah.
Nigerians know how to laugh about our traumatic experiences. See, we are the best at it.
Bro.
You see, we don't even look at things as simple as waking up at 4:30 in the morning.
What do you mean?
Like the average Lagosian wakes up at 5 o'clock. Like your body clock just wakes up at 5 o'clock.
Secondary school.
Right? Secondary school, even up until your work time. If you're living, because we're in a place where you live so far away, you're trying to work in central business districts, and so for you to really get to work at 8 o'clock, you must leave your house by 5 o'clock. It's actually horrible traumatic experience because it's a ripple effect of Nigeria not having good road networks, Nigeria not having good transport systems, in which case, explain to me why I should be traveling 3 hours within the same city to get to my office.
That is very true.
And I'm also traveling another 3 hours to get back home.
That was one of the reasons why I said I'm not doing 9 to 5.
So in the end, I end up only maybe having an active 6 hours of sleep.
And that's why everybody's usually exhausted. That's why everybody's usually angry. That's exactly. Why, because when you leave this country, even this state, the amount of pressure that leaves your body, because like you say, that trauma of the everyday hustle, like Lagos is a beautiful place. It has a lot of opportunity.
Yeah.
But if you're not mentally strong, the trauma that can come with it, because like you say, bro, that shouldn't be everyday life for somebody.
Yeah, there's some people who can't drive in Lagos anymore, particularly because, road networks not being good. In fact, I would tell you for a fact, I currently drive now with a certain trauma that I have, in that I actually cannot get my eyes off the road for a second, particularly because I can just run into a pothole. Now, I know this sounds like it's surface stuff, that pothole, nothing. I actually almost had an accident once where my car just, in high speed, maybe I was at like 60 miles per hour, just went into a pothole. And I was very close to the car just tipping over at the speed I was moving and just tumbling into the next lane, which was the oncoming lane. Now, when that happened, I actually had to pause, park my car to the side, and breathe. Since then, and this happened, maybe like 2 years ago. Since then, I kid you not, the minute I even just feel one small, like I'm just like, okay, on the road. But I try not to let it show so that, even if I have passengers, they're not afraid that, they're with someone who is afraid to drive. But till this day, I can't unsee that particular incident that happened.
Do you know why
it's
that's
so
mad what you said? Because for me, that's what I said. trauma that's more physical experience and all that, Nigeria has taught me that it doesn't stay in my body anymore. And that's why I say it's turned to comedy now. Like, honestly, like, it's not trauma.
It's not,
Like, because I've been through so much that it's like, it makes no damn sense. Like, for example, I've been robbed in Lagos. So somebody has broken into an Airbnb. I've seen it. I chased the guy in the compound. Because the madness that is like, okay, you want to rob me, me too, I go run. Yeah, like, you want to rob me, me too, we go run mad together. Yeah, I'm not traumatized from that. It's like, it don't happen. And that's a every Lagosian. Like you said, car accidents. I didn't have my car. I got in a car accident on the bridge. Once it happened, God, thank you. I'm good. But like I said, it's like, it's not good.
It's not good because actually, this is you dealing with trauma.
No, it's like I'm used. That's why I said, like, when I leave, that's why I said, like, I sort of now channel the energy to, like I say, comedy, all that stuff. But the emotions now is what's the hard part, because it's like you have to pick one of the two evils. Am I going to go through this trauma of the country being broken down? That's, look, it only gets better when you leave. Man, that can be real trauma. But then the emotional trauma is what stays with you here, because there are not a lot of outlets for you to even express yourself, stuff like that. Like, I just started learning to talking, like something simple as talking. That's why I said there's a lot of emotional trauma we all have, because something simple as talking we don't do. Look how even something simple as this podcast, like, we're not even trying to big up the podcast now, but everybody say, oh my God, we didn't know men can talk. Or men will say, oh, I didn't know you can talk, because we've never been given a platform to talk, which helps with the emotional trauma. Or even expressing yourself creatively. Like, there's not a lot of things, unless it's just the typical music and all. And even that, you sometimes hear the pain in some artists with your lyrics and all that. Like, that's somebody crying for help, low-key. But until, like you said, we get to that point in Nigeria that we start being open-minded to express ourselves properly without being judged, there's a lot of trauma we can heal that can start to heal some wounds in this country. I would
even wrap up. So, you know, the uni I went to, for example,
CO.
The amount of trauma. Okay, till now, some of them still follow me. So we weren't allowed to wear jeans in the school. Till today, I only have the one pair. Now, see, and that one pair is, let it not be like I don't have jeans. People ask me to this day, do you ever wear jeans? I don't see you in jeans. I can't keep telling them, oh, it's because I went to uni. But I know that it's because for 4 years, I was not able to wear jeans. Not that I chose not to. I wasn't able to wear jeans. I wasn't able to hold someone's hands, There was even one very funny clip that was going around recently where they were saying, oh, how do you tell if someone was in a private school without just asking them? And then the lady goes, hold my hand. And then the guy holds her hand and is like, okay, so in your school, could you hold my hand like this?
Wow.
Bro, it was a whole roast.
Wow.
Right? And it's comedy. Like I said, see, we know how to mask all our trauma in comedy, but the truth is, it's actually so bad because now you've had the person change what they should have been used to in their lifestyle to create a new way of living because they're trying to manage that trauma that they can't live out of. It's so crazy because you are now introduced to a new life. The life you didn't choose, but life you have to cope with. So that now becomes you saying, oh, this is me now. You know, this is what I do. But it's really not. And a lot of people don't even know, but they just go with it. That's why
sometimes you got to leave your environment to really see who you are. Like,
and even you know, people, you know, falling into depression and whatnot. A lot of times it's because they're not doing so many things to cover so many traumatic experiences that they now don't even recognize themselves anymore. Right. It's now just generally responses to trauma on everything they're doing. You know, so
and it's better to find. That's why I say it's better to start early to find the solutions. That way, you're not doing it late. Because, man, this trauma thing, like you said, even this mental health thing we're talking about, it comes back to mental health in the end.
Definitely does, yeah.
Because nobody, like I said, likes to talk about it until it's too late. Especially in our Nigerian culture, once it's too late, hey, yeah, they had mental health. We should be talking about it. And then after that, nobody talks about it again. So, Alhamdulillah again. Yeah, we back. Sorry about that. That's trauma experience right there.
Traumatic experience. Thank you, Nigeria.
But we'll round up with just saying this, that with trauma, find an outlet that helps you express it. Like he said, with Nigerians, we just do it in comedy, man. Like,
and always the best part is when you can find people who can relate to your trauma. So that way, a problem shared, a problem half solved.
The one thing that TikTok, that's what even TikTok taught me. People don't realize TikTok started out really as like therapy for everybody.
Yes,
because everybody was just making memes of therapeutic, like things that you know you're going through, that you're like, okay, this person is going through this hell.
We're not alone,
I'm okay. Like, people were actually like making jokes. Like, I remember the funniest TikTok I've ever seen is like, a girl now, she has no hands and legs and all that. It's like, how am I going to get some? And then she's now dancing. Like, just weird stuff like that. And that's what helped me. Like, even me, some of my TikToks, like, from the year, like, it was literally an expression of the crap and stress I'm going through. But it's like, I just want to laugh. Then when I'm seeing everybody's relating, like, I'm going through this. Oh.
Yeah.
So we're all going through this thing. So okay, good.
So, and I think I would also say that it's so key to sometimes just kick back and look at your life so you understand that everything you're doing is not just as a response to trauma. Fine, you can, respond to it so that it's a way to manage your situation, but also understand why you're doing it, right? So that way it's not just, I don't know, it's just me. A lot of it is channeled to you. So you know that if it's not really what you want and it's only a response to trauma, you can decide to change that. You can decide to do, like now, I'm still trying to undo the whole not liking pets thing because I like them as, individual creatures, but when I have to, like, have ownership of them, then all of that just comes back. I'm now reliving my high school.
I'm still not liking guns, I can't lie to you.
Yeah, so the things but in the end, you still pick the ones the battles you can fight and then, work on those. So, but yeah, I mean,
good episode, guys. Thank you, guys.
There are some things I couldn't share, so hopefully.
Yeah, that's why I can't lie to you. I was quiet. I'm like, there's some things nobody needs to know. Don't worry, that's me and God are working on that trauma.
But I think maybe sometime in the future, maybe. Let's see.
No, God knows it's okay. But yeah, tune in again next time. Like I said, we're wrapping up the season. We probably have 3 episodes now.
Episode 20? Yeah, it's episode 20.
So we only have like 2-3 episodes left now.
About 2 episodes left, yeah.
So like I said, well, thank you guys for rocking with us all year. Make sure you subscribe. We're still gonna have stuff going on even when we finish up. But at the same time, we're gonna make sure we finish strong. You have any shout outs, anything you want to give?
So again, I still keep preaching. Share our content. Make sure you comment. Make sure you follow everywhere. Make sure you subscribe. We need our numbers to go. In fact, we should put a deadline for 50K by the end of the year, minimum.
Amen.
We should have 50K subscribers. So
amen.
I'm leaving it to you guys. Do something. Let's get this done.
All right, and shout out to Man Cave. This is where we're recording the podcast. It's one of the best lounges in Lagos, as you see. Very low key. If you need, they also got a pool table. They got a barbershop. They got a salon. They got everything here. If you want to chill, get a drink, bring your nice babes here. Man Cave.
Yep.
All right, so till next time.